It is my honor to introduce ProServe's owner. Please meet Sean. After receiving his bachelor's, Sean Lane worked in corporate America for some time. He had worked for Tom with ProServe Pools when he was in high school and decided to get back into the industry, bringing with him the tools and business essentials that he learned along the way. His experience in corporations brought best practices to ProServe, and today it's a thriving, local, community-minded, family-run business for nearly 40 years. Let's welcome Sean Lane with ProServe Pools.
So my name is Sean Lane, as Diane said, and I'm the owner of ProServe Pools. We are a certified pool contractor, and we specialize on the commercial side for over 40 years. I first started with this company back when I was 16 years old, and I'd love to go back to that day. But since then, we've really grown in the way that with the services that we provide, and the purpose of today is to take what we've learned over the last 40 years and give you our viewpoint. Things get pretty exciting during the hurricane season, especially if you watch the news and the hurricane reports that they give them. It's pretty exciting the way they do that. And so you probably get a lot of different advice as to how to prepare, both from the media, from board members that'll tell you how they take care of it at their personal pool back at their residential house, and then also from your pool company. So the purpose of us is to share with you our best practices and our wolf pack approach that helps you get prepared, and then after the storm, what to do next. That's what we're going to cover today. And there's a few categories that you want to look at when preparing not just the pool, also the equipment, the deck itself, what areas of risk are you being exposed to? So if we start with this year, we're projected to have, NOAA has projected they call it a 60% chance of this being an above average season. They're expecting that there's going to be somewhere between 6 to 10 named hurricanes. As you know, the season lasts from June through November, and really the peak is August through October. So that's the area where we're most concentrated. Now, the good news, I think, is in a lot of cases, things don't really turn out as bad as what you might see on TV, but it doesn't change the fact that we all have a responsibility for our properties and our owners and the safety of our guests. So let me walk through some ways that you can minimize those risks and costs, both on the pool side, and then also, very importantly, as a pool company, we're focused on getting everyone back to swimming again. And I'll share with you some new technologies that we've implemented to help with that. So going back to a checklist, if you kind of follow through this chart, this simple checklist can make it manageable for yourself as the CAM or a board leader to assign various tasks to both your service provider. So as an example, it could be your pool company. And then also for your on-site staff, whether it's a maintenance team or volunteers that you have on the board. But this simple flow is something that you can utilize. And we've got a more detailed one we're also happy to share with you. So it's primarily broken into two categories. The first category I'll cover is the pool system itself. One of the things that we coach our incoming calls and incoming texts that come into the office, we have a team of folks that answer those phone calls during the hurricane season. And one of the biggest questions we get is, hey, we need you to get out here and drain this pool down. And we really push back on that. There's a few reasons why we do not recommend that based on our experience. The number one most important one is, a pool is really a vessel and it floats. So the more weight, and water has weight to it, that you have in that vessel, that pool, the shell of that pool, the less likely it is going to float. Now, of course, a couple of years ago, we lost several pools up in Daytona Beach shores due to that. And once the ocean water pushed the water out of the pool by moving back and forth, that lost some of the weight inside that vessel. And then the next occurrence, of course, was it floated. So we really do, along with the Florida Pool and Spa Association, recommend do not drain any water out of that pool. So one of the reasons why you don't, so let's go outside of just the point of that a vessel will float. The other reason is there's waste to that. You're wasting water that comes out. So many times that we'll have on the news, it says the hurricane's coming and we might get, let's say it's, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, maybe. And if you're draining that pool down, you're essentially wasting chemicals and water by doing that. And so you're paying someone to drain it down, then you're paying someone to fill it up, then you're paying to have it rebalanced. And again, we want water in that pool. And then draining down really does not help. Imagine if that was, this is the way we explain it to customers. Imagine if that was a parking lot as opposed to a pool of water. Well, rain is going to come down, land on that pool or that parking lot, and it's going to drain off into stormwater areas. So really nothing's being accomplished. So spend your time moving into areas that you can really help solve. Let me cover some of those now. One is properties where they incorporate protocols that require the pool to be drained down. So we do have some, and these are mainly more the corporate managed companies that just have protocols, and that's part of it. So we do provide a service for that if that's just what they absolutely require to do. So let's now move into that. What are we going to get ready? Let's focus first on the equipment area first. In the pump rooms, the ones that are typically set below grade, so it's a pump room that you actually walk down into, and they're called flooded suction. Gravity actually brings that water into that tank as the pump's pulling it out. You want to make sure that the walls are waterproofed inside that room. What happens is the surrounding groundwater will become saturated, and water is going to find the least path of resistance, which is going to be that opening cavity that's down below grade. But if you waterproof the walls, now you've prevented that groundwater, from seeping and draining into that pump room. Inside there, what you can do on the outside is you can try to divert the water from those areas with either sandbags or some type of landscaping. Terrascape can help you with that as to how you divert water flow away from that pump room to protect it. Now let me move to some technology. The good news is the pumps that we install today, we do it in such a way that is very easy to remove those pumps and take them to higher ground to where they can be safely stored off-site until the storm is over. And then we bring those pumps back. The other part is we do have some properties that provide generators for the sump pump so that if the pump room starts to flood and the electricity goes off, that sump pump can still operate and pump out the water from that room faster than it's coming in. So inside the pump room, those are the key areas. And the most important part of the equipment in there is definitely the main circulation pump that we're going to need once the storm is over. If you look in this picture, you'll see this is a pump room that flooded. It's below grade. And so water came in, and this pump room flooded because water was literally coming in from the walls. You can notice that the shelving turned over, there's dirt and debris on the floor, and that's a lot of cleanup work. One of the vats, chemical vats, actually turned over inside that room. And in these rooms, you want to make sure that the chlorine, it's called sodium hypochlorite, and that the acid, muriatic acid, when those two are mixed together, that creates what's called mustard gas. So those need to all be secure. Is the next part. Let's now move to the second area that you want to focus on, which is the pool deck area. I'm going to show you a funny picture that happened Sometimes we'll get requests or we'll get asked, hey, should we store the furniture in the pool? And so that bottom picture shows you that was an early morning after the storm. We were going out and surveying our properties, and there was a new manager that had not gone through a hurricane before, and I think he was from up north somewhere. And so he decided, the news told him to do this. He put all of the furniture into that pool. And please don't do that. You don't want to throw any foreign devices into a pool. Um, all of that furniture has suntan lotion on it, dirt, algae, debris, and there's really nothing good that's going to happen from this, including the hard work of throwing it in the pool, and then the very hard work of having to get it out of the pool. So please don't do that. A much better way to secure the area is, number one, for all of the life rings, throw lines, shepherd's hooks, those types of loose items. You can take it down to the pump room, or if you've got a storage facility somewhere, put them in. Our recommendations in our properties that we see the most benefit from is just take that furniture, stack it if it's stackable, tie it all together. So now you've got a big weight that's not going to blow around versus one piece of furniture by itself, and place it in a corner somewhere where you've got a barrier. So like in this picture, you can see where there's a wall there, which creates a great barrier just to place that furniture up against. That's where we've seen through the years the least amount of work and the best results after the storm. Okay, so now we've gone through the storm. Now we need to come and assess. So make sure that you've got a storm checklist and a point person or a committee. So, probably the CAM, or the CAM works in conjunction with someone that's on the board in a volunteer position. And then also include in that checklist of group of people is your service providers. So your landscape crew is an example, your pool company, your tree care provider, so that you can get everything back to normal and open as efficiently as possible. What we do is we have what's called a wolf pack approach that we take to our pools to get them open sooner. This wolf pack has standard operating procedures that we go through from the first time that we meet in the morning post-storm, when everyone's safe and able to come back into work. What we do is, some of our team members have more experience than others, so we make sure that we've got a team approach where a senior member oversees and can direct and problem solve and can go from one team to another. What we've learned too is that if we put a team, like if you notice on this commercial pool, there's a team of 4, the person taking the picture plus the 3 you see. You get a lot more productivity by taking a team approach with that. So in our program to get our pools back open, you want to make sure that your pool company has a few things that works in your favor. So number one, after a storm, all of the distribution channels are typically closed. We get back to work typically before the suppliers do. So we stock in our warehouse the materials and equipment that is required to get our pools back open, so that the service trucks can load up in the morning and go back to the pools and make their assessment with their standard checklist. This includes chemicals and tools. The second thing is, in our wolf pack, we move all of our team members from the construction and the repair divisions over to the service division. That way you've got a team out there that can focus just on the cleaning process. And that just expedites getting these pools back open. And you want to get that organic debris, as you can see in that picture there, those leaves out of there as soon as possible. That's loading up nitrogen and phosphates into that water, which leads to algae later, especially during the season. Our third component is that we inspect all of the equipment. You want to make sure and take pictures and have written estimates that show what the damage is that's being done, any repairs that need to be done, those kind of things. And then circle back to the CAM with the status and including expected open date. Because typically what happens is each property is anxious to get that pool back open. Once the storm leaves, it becomes beautiful again. And so you really want to make sure that your CAM is up to date so that they can communicate that out to the rest of the team. So that's part of our post-recovery steps. Let me move to a different piece of it. Um, there's Florida laws and safety codes after the storm that really need to be made sure that they're suitable for. After the storms we had a couple of years ago, the hurricanes that really hit Daytona Beach shores, even after a year, some of the fences weren't really put back to the way they need to be. So that's a major liability for insurance. So you want to make sure that you're meeting the code with self-latching fences are repaired after the storm, and that the trees are trimmed back and removed out of, away from the areas of the pool. That pool there, that's an example of obviously a tree that completely fell in the pool. And what's happening is once that organic matter gets in, like I mentioned before, you got to get it out as fast as you can, or it's going to cause water issues later. You want to make sure that you're working with a licensed contractor that's licensed in the state of Florida and that can legally make the repairs and that's needed on that pool. Make sure that a CPO, a certified pool operator, is by the state of Florida able to clean the pool, is not licensed, nor is a maintenance man licensed to make repairs on plumbing or install pumps and motors and those types of things. So before the storm comes, make sure you've got access to a company that can do that for you. And it's real important for both warranty reasons, legal reasons, and liability. So when your board's decided on that, make sure they hire for the worst case scenario of that season and that they can accommodate. It's interesting. We notice a lot that licensed insured it's not just a marketing slogan. It's important that we're all hiring people that are able to do that. So let me walk you through two case studies that we've seen through the years. I went back to our archives and I pulled out two of them. One example is, and this was a great example of how you solve multiple problems that were pre-existing. There was hurricane damage that occurred during a storm that this pool, so this is a big commercial pool, close to 80,000 gallons, 30 by 60, 8.5 feet deep. And you could see how much sand was, if you look at that bucket, that's a 5-gallon bucket, and you can see how far that sand goes up. That pool was covered throughout, where the ocean actually moved into the pool and just set that sand into there. So we drained that pool with gas pumps, and we put a team of about 8 people in there, 8 of our team members, to shovel that sand out. Now, the good news is the outcome of this is that pool had had bad water. So it had a lot of solids in it from years and years of use, bathers and sweat. So the storm actually ended up bringing a good case because we were able to put fresh water in it and give it a light acid rinse, which brought back a nice, brilliant blue look to the water versus a copper stain look that it had before. And then you want to fill that as quickly as you can. So you can see the bottom right-hand corner there is where we filled it with a fire hydrant. So a rapid fill. You can normally fill a pool with a fire hydrant within 3 to 6 hours based on the size of that pool. So the outcome, the hurricane was bad news, but you take it and you make something positive out of it, and you brighten up the finish and you give it fresh water, and then you've got a pool that's much more efficient and a much higher quality swim during the season. Let me cover a second use case with you, and so please stick with me on this. This is a really important, simple message. We had other customers that have been proactive and have allowed reopening after the hurricane much faster. So when that pump room floods, the newer pumps today are designed in such a way that you can very quickly and efficiently remove those pumps and take them to safety until the storm's over, and then you bring them back. So you don't risk the chance of a electrical surge. So yes, you can turn the breaker off. So please do that as one means, but the best means is to get that pump out of there. The second reason why we recommend the newer technology is because they don't have any metals in the pump themselves. So as part of your hurricane plan, when you make an investment in these types of pumps, you're not going to shoot metal back into that pool. And then the third reason is these pumps that help are also, they save about $300 a month in electrical expense. And we have that over and over and over again, those metrics that we've collected from customers that move to these style pumps. So you're going to be up and faster after that hurricane. And you're going to have that pump available versus waiting for distribution, your pool company to bring a new pump out there. So in summary, I would say you want to lower your risk to your properties in your swimming pool by just doing a few simple things. As one, make sure the pump room is secure. Inside that pump room, make sure that the chemicals that are in that pump room are secure so that they do not float if it's flooded. Hurricane season is June through November. So you want to make sure that you've got the right company that can help you with those processes. And then I'd say the last piece would also be to, on the outside, so the second area, on the outside of the area, make sure that that pool deck is clear and ready for the storm. And with that, Diana, and I can open it up for any questions.
Okay, great, Sean. Thank you. Okay, we have a question. Should the acid and chlorine be stored in stainless steel tanks?
No, I could say we manage over 100 commercial properties, and I can't think of one single property that would have stainless steel. No, you need a plastic containment tank that is rated for, in this market, it's sodium hypochlorite, that's liquid. That's what's used for sanitation. And then muriatic acid, that's what's used for pH management. And if you contact us, we'll be happy to put you in touch with suppliers that can help you with that. Does someone have a stainless steel chemical tank that they're using today?
Randall, go ahead and put that into the chat if you want. Anyone else with questions?
And to go back to the tank question too, you're going to by code be required to have that as your primary. But I can tell you, just based on our experience the last 3 years with liquid chlorine continue to rise, I would highly recommend moving to a salt system. Salt systems have stabilized in price, whereas everything else continues to rise. That'll save your property money.
Okay, everyone, I put Sean's information in the chat. Oh, Randall just popped in. We are looking into a set as they are strapped to the fence outdoors.
Well, if you've got, now you can anchor them down also. So if you're welcome to contact us and we can coach you on that, or we can provide that service for you. Is the fence in such a location that you feel like it's secure enough, or what's your thoughts on that?
And as he's responding to that, everyone make sure to check the chat and grab information on Sean's business, ProServe Pools. His email address and his website are right in the chat for you to save. As always, we recommend best practices to have 3 bids and to utilize those who are providing free education. I didn't see anything come in, Sean. Anything else for closing statements?
No, I would just say, going back to NOAA, they have I read online on the NOAA website, so not Facebook fake news or whatever, but on the NOAA site, that they're expecting that this season's going to be pretty active. My family's been here 4 generations, and we've been in business doing this for 40 years, and we always make it through it. But there's some simple things. Don't turn the other cheek on it. Let's make sure and get it done. before season gets here. So you guys, after the storm, you're able to accommodate your guests.
I love that. William said, great class. I agree. Sean, thank you so much.
Thanks for you guys joining today. Let us know if we can help.
Have a good rest of your day.